want our viewers to think about something for a second. 1 minute and 18 seconds. That's how long this court document says it took Michael Russo to go inside this 7-Eleven, kill Kyle Farishian, and burn his body.
For most people, this 7-Eleven was just another stop on their way home. But on that fateful night, it became Kyle's final destination.
So I went to go get cigarettes last night, about 3 in the morning, and I pulled into 7-Eleven, and I saw the lights were off inside, and I saw the person laying there on fire.
The night shift was supposed to be routine for Kyle. Just a handful of late-night customers and a quiet store. Instead, it turned into the scene of his darkest hour. Born and raised in Naples, Florida, 18-year-old Kyle Farishian was a store clerk working the night shift at a 7-Eleven in Punta, Gorda, a job he was proud to have as his first. He preferred the night shift due to his shy nature. For Kyle, this job was just the first step toward building his future. But little did anyone know that all of his dreams would be taken away on Halloween night 2015.
911, where's your emergency?
Just saw 7-Eleven.
What's the address there?
I don't know the address, but someone is on fire laying inside.
Excuse me?
Someone is on fire laying inside.
Do you know the address?
It's 1121 Akiasa.
Someone's on fire?
Yes, someone is laying on the floor inside on fire.
On Halloween night, October 31st, 2015, at around 3 a.m., a 911 caller reported a fire at the 7-Eleven store on 1121 Bal Harbor Drive. Punta Gorda detective Justin Devolt arrived on the scene and, after examining the half-burnt store and the body on the floor, quickly realized that this wasn't just an arson case, it was a murder. The detective discovered 2 bullet wounds on the victim. At around 6 a.m., when the night shift typically ends, another 7-Eleven employee arrived for work, only to find the tragic aftermath. She confirmed to detectives that the body belonged to her friend, Kyle Farishian. The employee also mentioned seeing an SUV leaving the parking lot. She described the driver as a white female who appeared to be on her phone. The timing of her sighting matched the 911 call, leading detectives to believe that the woman driving the SUV was the one who made the call. Back at the scene, detectives determined that the fire had started near the front of the cashier desk. Most of the CCTV cameras were damaged, hanging from the ceiling, but detectives gathered all the electronics in the hopes that the smoke hadn't ruined them. Thankfully, it hadn't. In the footage, the picture's a bit blurry, but we do get a view of the counter and aisles inside. The footage stays pretty normal up until around 3 a.m., just before the 911 call came. Here, you can see Kyle Farishian in red at the back of the store casually working the night shift, until something seems to catch his attention. As Kyle walks down the main aisle to see who's inside the store, he finds no one in the first 2 aisles. Well, that is, until he makes his way to the 3rd aisle, where something shocking happens. A person pops out and shoots Kyle once in the head. Kyle falls to the floor while this cold-blooded killer stands over him and fires a second shot to his head. The suspect is carrying a large gas can. He now empties the can over Kyle's dead body and onto the counter by the cash register. He then walks around to the register and he removes a lighter from the rack and then tries to burn the place down, but he's unable to do so. He then gets another lighter and makes another attempt. This time, the fire catches, and it catches on quick. Watching all of this, it is clear that this was no robbery attempt, no accidental shot. This was a planned-out murder. Now, because the footage from this one camera is too blurry, the detectives try to get a different angle. They find one overlooking the back of the store. This time, the picture quality's better, and there's sound. They now know the sound which caught Kyle's attention, which was the attacker entering the store. Unfortunately, because the camera had a motion sensor, the camera turned to Kyle and didn't show the door. We see Kyle coming to the front to see who just came in, but he doesn't see anyone, so he turns around and he starts walking back. And then, just seconds later, you can hear 2 gunshots, after which Kyle's killer shows up on the camera. And while he never turns around and shows his face, the detectives now have a description of his build and what he was wearing that night. Ankle-high boots, black or gray pants with a camouflage print, a dark mask, and latex gloves. He had come fully prepared to do what he did that night. And at one point, the suspect can be seen taking off their gloves, revealing that they're white. Now, the detectives finally had a lead in their search for the mysterious killer. They were looking for someone white, of average height, and with a slim build. But there was still one big question. Was this person a man or a woman? The detectives also get a third angle overlooking the cash register, a bit more clearer now, and hopefully this view will give us answers to our questions. Instead, what we saw is the killer putting down the gun, which is a long-barreled revolver. And then finally, at around 3:13 a.m., the killer leaves after setting the store on fire. There is no doubt in our minds that this was a pre-planned event. The killer walked in fully covered with a loaded gun and a gas can, killed the only person in the store without flinching, and then didn't rob the store or even take any money. This was premeditated murder. But who could possibly do it, and why? Back at the station, they ID'd the 911 caller, and quite possibly the only witness, as Chelsea Templeton. They call her in for questioning and want to know why she fled the scene and didn't wait for the first responders.
So I went to go get cigarettes last night, about 3 in the morning, and I pulled into 7-Eleven, and I saw the lights were off inside, and I saw the person laying there was on fire, and there was like blood around them.
She claimed that she was with her boyfriend about to go into the 7-Eleven when they noticed the fire inside.
Why didn't you just stay?
At the store, time because I didn't know if he was still there, because it looked like the fire had just started. And my boyfriend was saying, go, 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 go. So I was like, hey, I'm panicking.
They also suspected that the kid inside may have been shot because they saw blood around him. Her boyfriend encouraged her to leave after they thought that some killer might still be around. They saw the blood, so they knew he was shot. And then in fear of getting shot as a witness, they called in the scene and they fled.
Do you have any idea what happened?
I have no idea.
Or how it happened?
I have no idea.
The police cross-checked this story with the boyfriend, Alex Walter, the one who told her to flee the scene.
Start from the beginning. What exactly?
Okay, so I got off work about 9 o'clock, got my back home from work, she asked for pulling up, we could see it dark, right? And we ended up just like, whatever, and then she said it's out of fire. And as we got closer pulling in, we could see it was blazing, and then she pulled up right in front of the door, we got out of the car, and we just looked, and that's when I could see kid in front of the counter.
Did you wait for the officers?
What?
Why did you leave?
The stand was kind of freaky, dude. I mean, the place was on fire,
Okay.
They also tell the detectives that they went to the Circle K on Agiesta, a fact which was confirmed later by the employees there. The detectives went back to the CCTV footage and they see that as the fire was blazing in the store, there were a pair of headlights exiting the parking lot, which confirms their story. Meanwhile, they continue to pressure Alex to see if he's going to slip up about what really happened.
Like I said, we came back. I can tell you, I'm just asking. I'm trying to explain to you the best I can, man.
That's when the detectives start to notice an important part of this case, one that exonerates Alex as the killer: his tattoos. There was a tattoo on his right arm which extended all the way up to his knuckles, and from our footage, we know that the assailant had no tattoos or marks on his hands. So, because of this reason, Alex and Chelsea are cleared of any involvement in the murder of Kyle Farishian. The detectives were stumped. There was no clear reason why Kyle had been so brutally targeted, and the CCTV footage hadn't captured the killer's escape. It looked like this case might turn cold. But then, everything changed when they considered a different angle. What if Kyle wasn't targeted as a person, but simply as an employee? Shifting focus, the detectives started interviewing other employees, especially those who had worked closely with Kyle and knew about his daily interactions. That's when they met Lori Englert. Lori, a clerk at the store, had helped train Kyle during his first days on the job. During her interview, Lori told the detectives about a recent and unsettling incident involving a customer, an incident Kyle had witnessed. Now, detectives already had the surveillance footage with them, so they started combing through the history. It was easier to find as Lori had called the police on this customer too. A guy went up to the counter in order to purchase alcohol, which is when Lori requested to see his ID. She told him to remove the ID out of his wallet in order to check for authenticity, but he felt like he didn't need to do that.
My name is Lori. Lori? Yes, the manager's name is Vicky.
Okay. Have a great day.
The way he talked about getting her fired was incredibly disrespectful, which is why Lori went out to record his car license plate. Well, once the customer saw her recording, he angrily followed her back into the store.
Call the police. Get away from me. Yeah, they're harassing me.
It's possible that if Lori was alone, this customer would have attacked her from the way he just marched back in.
911 right there. On the phone.
She had every right to record the license plate, but for the customer to just harass her by marching back in, that was just too scary. And that's why she instructed Kyle to call 911, which he did, and then the officers responded to the store. The vehicle's tag number was given to the officers on scene, allowing them to identify the rude and aggressive customer, 28-year-old Michael Russo. The incident stemmed from Russo's behavior toward the employees. He refused to follow their instructions, he threatened to get Lori fired, and then even harassed her after she recorded his license plate. Well, still, that alone didn't seem like enough of a reason to target someone so brutally, right? Oh, that is until the detectives uncovered a second incident. It was September 15th, 2015. Lori is working with a different clerk, and at around 12 minutes past 1, Michael Russo enters the store.
Lori is the young man that I had barred before.
He comes to the counter with a case of beer, while completely ignoring Lori's remarks.
No, he's barred from here.
Lori keeps telling the clerk that he's not welcome here, but Russo doesn't pay any attention to her, and the confused clerk just continues on.
Maria, I'm not telling you. You're trespassing. No, you are trespassing. You're so fine.
She sells him the beer, and he casually walks out. Lori calls 911 and follows him out, and then this happens. He almost hit her with his car as she was calling 911, and then flees the scene immediately. The police officers arrive, and after hearing the complaint, they find the address to Michael Russo's house and issue him a trespass warning. This warning meant that if he returned to this 7-Eleven within a 1-year period, he could be arrested. The CCTV footage from the night of Kyle's death and the footage from the altercation show us that the killer's mannerisms and style of walking matches Michael Russo. All of this adds up to probable cause, which grants them a search warrant to Michael Russo's house. When they enter his house, it looks like an ammunition store. This man was literally armed to the teeth. In one of his cabinets, they found these latex gloves, the same ones that we saw in the footage. Now, if you think the guns and gloves didn't hint the police enough, the things in his garage literally sealed his fate. They found red 5-gallon cans in the garage, same as the one used by our killer. And when they searched the car, they immediately got a distinct smell of Clorox, the kind of chemical that you use to clean up. He may have tried to cover up his crime by cleaning, but he missed a spot. The blood spot could be a possible match for the victim's blood. So, after the evidence is collected for forensics, the results, unfortunately, rule him out. The blood spot is not Kyle's, and none of the guns in the house were the long-barreled revolver, our murder weapon. Also, there's no proof that shows that the gas can used by the killer is any of the ones that Russo had in his possession. During the investigation, Russo's friend, Austin Weger, revealed Russo's secret life and desires to the detectives, which gave the case a disturbing new aspect.
And he also mentioned that he had said something. Yeah. We were talking about games that he plays and he made as far as harming other people. What was that?
That statement?
Yeah.
what he said was, we were talking about, for some reason, like purpose in life. We were just talking, and he was talking about, he felt like they had like a purpose in life, and that like, as far as I can't really remember, because he had a purpose in life, and this blah blah blah. He had said that stuff, and then we were getting further into talking. I don't know how this was even brought up, but then he said, I don't want to get this wrong because like the wording, it was a little wrong. I don't want to like.
Take your time.
What did he say? I don't want to say that he actually said that like he wanted to know what it's like to kill someone, but I feel like he was saying that he wanted to kill someone like people because some people deserve it, and that like, and then he just wanted to, I guess, know what I felt. I was just like, all right. I didn't really know I didn't really want to talk more about it because that was like whatever.
Freak you out?
I mean, to an extent. I don't know. I wasn't really ever like scared of my life when I was there. Even when he like argued, but like I was just like I didn't really want to talk about it. Like and like one time like there's been times when I've answered the door and he's like had the gun, he like pointed at me jokingly, and then put it back in his holster. But other than that, like.
So you've never been afraid around it?
This quote is literally page 1 from a psychopath's diary. But for Russo, this is highly possible considering the frequency with which he engages in violence and the extent of his violent acts. And while his friend thinks that these words were said jokingly, there were some moments in the friendship where Russo showed just how serious he was.
You had mentioned an incident yesterday about you had gone to the store for him recently.
Yeah.
And you bought him something.
Yeah.
But you didn't bring something back.
Exactly. And
walk us through that.
Yeah. So he asked me to go to the store to get food, which was like it was from 7-Eleven. It was like the spicy chicken rolls or whatever, but they're cooked on the cooker. So I got those. He wanted me to get buns originally, and I didn't really see the buns, so I didn't ask. So then I went home with the chicken. He found out that I didn't have the buns. He got really mad. We argued for like 5 or 10 minutes. And then he finally said, well, are you going to go back? And then after that, I was just like, whatever.
How did he come at you?
We were talking like this, but across the island in his kitchen. And he was yelling. So he was... Sorry.
Were you scared of him then? It's okay.
No, I know.
Yeah,
but I mean, no, I feel you. No, I'm not ashamed about being scared at all. Trust me about it. It's just like, I mean, like I said, somewhat, because like, I wasn't like terrified, and I wasn't like, oh my gosh, I need to go do this. I mean, we argued. He said, can you please go get him? Or I didn't say please. He said, go get him. And then I went and got him, and then went back and we ate. And I just. Somewhat scared. I mean...
During these moments, the friendship between the two continued. And when you have a friend like that, one who you can just point a gun at and expect him to be cool with it, you expect them to tell each other everything. So the detectives need to know if he ever talked about the 7-Eleven altercations, and whether he planned to do something about it or not.
So you just recently learned about him being trespassed, you said?
Yeah, I actually did. And
how did you hear about that?
How did I hear about that? My parents, because I talked to Jennifer, and I don't know how she knew, but I found it from my mom.
All right, so your mom, you heard from your mom heard from Jennifer Marta?
I'm pretty certain, yeah.
So did Michael ever discuss anything?
Not once, not ever.
Never said?
That's why I figured he would always want me to go, because I was like, man, why do I always have to go? And that actually might have been, so did it happen midsummer? Is that when it happened?
We're not.
Okay. I apologize.
Giving updates. Have you ever seen any of that type of clothing?
I have never seen that. The only thing that I think I could, if you have a good picture of it, is the hat. Because he always used to wear a hat. But I've never seen that jacket. I've never seen those pants. I've never seen those boots. I mean, that gas can kind of look generic, so I couldn't really say I've seen it, but he did have gas cans. But other than the hat, if you have a picture of the hat, like this, what it had on the hat, was it a flat bill? Was it a curved bill? Because he wore the curved bill. He never wore the flat.
Apparently not. Perhaps there are some secrets that even friends don't know. But based on Russo's overall information, it is interesting why his friend didn't get caught onto his psychopathic side. He was not only violent, but after a few violent incidents, he started to become kind of a loner, a trait which only further supports the psychopath theory.
Did it strike odd to you that he just separated himself from society?
Somewhat. I mean, he would go out to eat. Like we would sit down like outside the restaurant. He'd be fine.
Where?
Where we went to sit out last time I can remember. Well, we went to, what's that place called? What is that place called? It's downtown taco place.
Oh, Jimmy's Tacos.
Jimmy's Tacos. We went there. We ate there before. I know we went somewhere else. Where else did we go? Yes, I can't remember where else we went. Other than that, but I know there was another place because we have gone to eat out a lot. Like not a lot, but multiple times.
Do you know where he goes grocery shopping at?
I think Walmart, but I could be wrong.
Jones Loop?
Yeah, that or Publix because they're both really
right
close.
there.
Yeah, and I think he told me something about going to Publix because he could get deals and stuff. But like when I think about it, like thinking that like he could go out and do something like that because he always said that like when we talked about suicide like he has on his notes, he said that he was always too much of a pussy to go through it and kill himself like that. So like to think that he couldn't do that but then could do that to another person. That's why I feel like I hope that I'm not framing the wrong person, you know.
No, we just need the honest truth.
I know, yeah, that's I'm telling you the honest truth, everything I know. But like I'm scared that I'm like wrongly accusing him, you know.
No, that's what our job is.
Yeah.
Just like, you know, you're one part of this puzzle.
Yeah.
You know, one piece. So we got to take all the pieces and put them together.
Oh yeah.
But no, I mean, we don't want to wrongly accuse somebody either.
Yeah. Also, the reason I think that because I was just thinking in my head, you know, because I can't get it out of my head about what happened. The reason I think that you guys initially went over there, I didn't hear from anyone. This is just coming from my head and what I thought is because you must have had no car there, right? And so I'm sure you guys have. This is probably just being stupid, but you guys have checked all around like to see if he like parked like cameras because he could have parked there and then went there carrying it because I don't think he would walk all the way from his house with a gas can and all that stuff on. I mean, it was Halloween, but still. I don't think he would. Out in the open, at least. So what I'm thinking is that he like parked his car somewhere, if this is the case, and then would walk from his car from a closer distance, and then walk away in the distance and then get back in his car.
It's clear that Russo is involved in the case, but unfortunately, there's nothing concrete tying him to the case. Kyle's family was still eagerly awaiting justice as the Punta Gorda police went over the facts again. This was something extremely insignificant, yet the only thing that ties this to Russo. Seems insignificant, right? That is, until we go back to the surveillance footage and spot the spots. It is a perfect match. Russo is our guy. Police are dispatched to arrest Russo and bring him in for questioning. And while he didn't have a lot to say, the evidence was certainly enough for us to put together what exactly happened. Russo was a disgruntled customer who had a beef with the store clerks of 7-Eleven. He was a violent man who didn't take no for an answer, so despite the first warning, he came back again. It was only when Lori put out a trespass warning against him that things got heated. Well, because of that, Russo vowed revenge against the employees of 7-Eleven, irrespective of who it was. That's why he chose the hours of the night for his execution. That's why he came up with planning the idea of killing and burning the store. On July 17th of 2017, Michael Russo was sentenced to life in prison for second-degree murder and received an additional 30 years for first-degree arson. If you think this case was horrific, you need to check out my video on the deadly kidnapping that was all recorded on CCTV.